Chapter 1. The day humanity left. The Galactic Council chamber had witnessed countless historic moments. Empires had been born there. Wars had ended there. Entire civilizations had been welcomed into the interstellar community beneath its crystal domes. Ambassador Elias Carter looked around the enormous circular hall. Thousands of representatives stared back at him. Some looked amused. Some looked bored. Many looked victorious. For nearly 50 years, humanity had served the Council faithfully. Human rescue fleets answered distress calls no one else accepted. Whenever disaster struck, humans came, not because they were ordered, because they believed helping strangers was simply the right thing to do. Unfortunately, human scientists were required to share discoveries without compensation. Human colonies received little protection. Council taxes on Earth increased every cycle. When humans requested fair treatment, their proposals were quietly rejected, again and again and again. Finally, the Council voted. Resolution 9917. Humanity shall permanently surrender all independent deep space manufacturing rights for the benefit of more advanced civilizations. The chamber erupted in applause. To most delegates, it was simply another political victory. To Ambassador Carter, it was the final answer. He calmly pressed a small device. Every human representative simultaneously stood. No anger, no shouting, no threats, only quiet dignity. Carter spoke softly. "You have made your decision." He paused. "So have we." The chamber slowly became silent. Our people joined this council believing cooperation would strengthen the galaxy. We offered friendship. We offered knowledge. We offered sacrifice. You accepted all three and returned none. Several delegates rolled their eyes. The Vorak Chancellor laughed. "If humanity dislikes the arrangement, perhaps you should become stronger." Scattered laughter followed. Carter nodded politely. "I agree." Confused murmurs spread across the chamber. "We will become stronger, but not here." He placed the council seal onto the marble podium. "It has been an honor. This is humanity's formal withdrawal from the Galactic Council." The council president leaned forward. "You cannot simply abandon centuries of cooperation." "We can. You still require council trade." "No." "You require our protection." "No." "You'll isolate yourselves." "Perhaps. But we would rather stand alone than kneel together." Without another word, every human delegate walked toward the exit. No dramatic music, no insults, no final argument. Just footsteps. Hundreds of footsteps, echoing across the chamber. One by one, the doors closed behind them. No one moved. Then laughter erupted. "They'll return. They always do. They need us. They're emotional. They'll realize their mistake." No one noticed the council's oldest member. The ancient seraph historian quietly lowered his eyes. He whispered to himself, "You fools." Chapter 2. The Silent Years. Earth disappeared. Not physically, politically. Council messages received no reply. Trade convoys returned unopened. Diplomatic channels remained silent. Embassies stood empty. Every human station beyond council borders shut its gates. At first, the galaxy barely noticed. The major powers celebrated. Without human competition, mining contracts became easier. Research grants increased. Trade routes were redistributed. Everything seemed perfect until the rescue calls stopped being answered. A passenger liner vanished inside the Crimson Nebula. Normally, human search fleets would have arrived within hours. No one came. Over 6,000 lives were lost. The council called it unfortunate, Then a medical colony suffered a viral outbreak. Human bioresponse teams had once been famous for impossible cures. No team arrived. Millions died. The council blamed logistics. Then pirate attacks increased. Human escort fleets had quietly protected shipping lanes for decades. Without them, entire trade routes collapsed. Insurance prices exploded. Merchants refused dangerous sectors. Food shortages spread across multiple systems. Still, most leaders refuse to admit the obvious. They'll come back. They always helped. Except, they didn't. For the first time in centuries, humanity simply minded its own business, and the galaxy slowly began discovering how much it had depended on people it never truly appreciated. Chapter 3. A galaxy begins to crack. 3 years passed. At first, the Galactic Council insisted everything was under control. Official reports described the growing problems as temporary disruptions, but reality told a different story. The great trade lanes that once buzzed with thousands of cargo ships became strangely quiet. Merchant captains refused to travel through dangerous sectors where human escort fleets had once patrolled. Freight costs doubled, then tripled. Entire colonies waited months for food, medicine, and spare parts. The council blamed pirates. The pirates blamed opportunity. Without human patrols, there was no one willing to chase criminals into the lawless regions of space. Meanwhile, natural disasters struck without warning. A binary star unexpectedly erupted near the Vekoran frontier. Millions of civilians were trapped. The council assembled an emergency rescue task force. It arrived 4 days later. The Human Rescue Corps, once mocked as overly sentimental, had always arrived within hours. By the time the council fleets reached the system, there was almost no one left to save. News of the tragedy spread across the galaxy. For the first time, ordinary citizens began asking uncomfortable questions. Why were the humans always the first to help? What happened after they left? Did we depend on them more than we realized? The council dismissed those questions, but doubt had already taken root. Chapter 4. Behind Earth's closed borders. Beyond council space, humanity had changed. There were no victory celebrations, no speeches about revenge, no plans to conquer the galaxy. Instead, humanity focused entirely on itself. Shipyards multiplied around Earth, Mars, Luna, and dozens of distant colonies. Universities shared discoveries freely. Artificial intelligence handled dangerous labor, while humans devoted themselves to exploration, medicine, engineering, and diplomacy among their own colonies. Military spending increased, but only for defense. Massive orbital shields surrounded human systems. Powerful fleets guarded every border, yet no human ship crossed into council territory unless invited. The human motto became simple: help those who wish to help themselves. Leave those who reject us in peace. The galaxy barely noticed until human technology began appearing on independent worlds outside council control. Their reactors produced limitless clean energy. Their hospitals cured diseases once thought impossible. Their farms transformed barren moons into green landscapes. Every independent civilization that traded with humanity prospered. Every council member watched from a distance and quietly grew jealous. Chapter 5. The Forgotten Promise. During an archaeological survey on an abandoned council station, researchers uncovered a forgotten archive. Inside were recordings from nearly 60 years earlier. They showed humanity's first application to join the Galactic Council. The human representative had stood nervously before the assembly. He had said only one thing: "We do not seek power. We seek partnership." The council had applauded. Another recording followed. It documented humanity's first rescue mission. A human medical fleet had entered a plague zone that every other civilization considered too dangerous. Over 90,000 alien civilians survived because humans refused to abandon them. Another recording. A human engineering team rebuilt a collapsed jump gate at their own expense. Another. Human firefighters entering a burning orbital habitat after every other rescue team had retreated. Recording after recording, the pattern became impossible to ignore. Humanity had never demanded payment. They had simply helped. Then came newer recordings, council debates, mockery, dismissed proposals, higher taxes on human colonies, trade restrictions, insults disguised as diplomacy. The final recording showed Resolution 9917, the vote that had driven humanity away. Silence filled the archive. Even veteran historians struggled to speak. The evidence was undeniable. The Council had not lost humanity because humans were weak. They had lost humanity because they had mistaken kindness for dependence. Far away, in the quiet shipyards orbiting Earth, no one celebrated this realization. The humans were too busy building a future they no longer expected the galaxy to share. Chapter 6. The crisis no one could stop. 5 years after humanity's departure, the Galactic Council faced its greatest disaster in history. One relay failed, then another. Within hours, entire sectors were isolated. Cargo fleets were stranded between systems. Medical supplies never arrived. Food shipments vanished into deep space. Emergency messages piled up faster than they could be answered. Panic spread. The relays continued collapsing. An elderly Seraph historian quietly asked a single question. Who maintained these relays before the Council? The room fell silent. Someone searched the archives. The answer stunned everyone. For the last 42 years, more than 70% of all deep space maintenance had been performed by human engineering teams. Not because the Council had ordered them. When humanity left, the maintenance simply stopped. Now, the price of that assumption was being paid across the galaxy. Chapter 7. Earth's Unexpected Visitors. At last, pride gave way to necessity. The Council voted to send a diplomatic delegation to Earth, not to negotiate new laws, not to demand assistance, to ask for help. The journey took nearly a month. They stared in disbelief. Peaceful traffic flowed with perfect precision. Massive solar collectors stretched across space. New colonies sparkled on moons once considered lifeless. Human technology had advanced far beyond Council expectations, yet there were no warships pointing outward, only defensive fleets calmly guarding human space. The delegation was escorted to Earth's capital. No bitterness, no anger, no triumph, only courtesy. The Council President lowered his head. We were wrong. Carter remained silent. We underestimated humanity. Still, Carter said nothing. Finally, the President spoke the words no Council leader had ever imagined saying. We have come to ask for your help. Chapter 8. A Lesson in Strength. The delegates expected humanity to celebrate its moment of superiority. Instead, Carter led them through hospitals, universities, and research centers. There were no statues honoring military victories, no monuments to conquered enemies. Instead, every building carried a simple inscription: Leave tomorrow better than today. Doctors treated alien visitors free of charge. Engineers openly discussed new discoveries with independent civilizations. One delegate finally asked, "Why continue helping others after everything we did?" Carter looked through the window toward the stars. Because kindness is not a reward, it is a choice. Another delegate whispered. "And if we reject that kindness again," Carter answered calmly, "then we will simply continue without you." For the first time, the council understood. They had only hoped to build something together. When that hope was broken, they chose peace over resentment, growth over revenge. The strongest civilization in the galaxy had become strong not by ruling others, but by mastering itself. Chapter 9. The Cost of Pride. Human engineers agreed to inspect the failing relay network. Within days they discovered hundreds of neglected faults. Some components had not been serviced in decades. Others had been deliberately ignored because repairs were considered too expensive. A young human engineer quietly remarked, "This could have been prevented." No one argued. The council watched as human repair teams restored systems they barely understood. Entire sectors came back online. Families separated for months were reunited. Hospitals received medicine again. Trade resumed. Across the galaxy, celebrations erupted. Yet humanity accepted no payment beyond the cost of materials. Instead, Carter presented the council with a document titled the Partnership Charter. It contained only 3 principles. Every civilization deserves equal respect. Service must never be mistaken for weakness. Cooperation requires responsibility from everyone. There were no demands for power, no request for special privileges, only fairness. For many council members, that generosity hurt more than any punishment ever could, because it reminded them exactly who had behaved with true honor. Chapter 10. The Council's New Beginning. Months later, representatives from every major civilization gathered once again beneath the crystal dome of the Galactic Council. This time, there were no celebrations, no arrogance, only reflection. The old Resolution 9917 was officially erased from the Council archives. New laws guaranteed equal representation for every member species. Volunteer rescue fleets were funded. Joint scientific missions became standard. Humanity accepted an invitation to return, not as subjects, but as equal partners. Ambassador Carter stood before the assembly one final time. Years earlier, he had left this chamber in silence. Now every delegate rose to their feet, not out of fear, out of respect. Carter looked around the hall and said, "Trust cannot be rebuilt in a day. It is earned through countless choices. So let today be the first of many." Thunderous applause echoed through the chamber. The ancient seraph historian smiled quietly. The galaxy has finally learned. As human and alien delegates walked out together beneath the stars, the council understood a truth that would be taught for generations. Humanity's greatest strength had never been its fleets, its weapons, or its technology. It had always been the courage to walk away with dignity, and the wisdom to return with compassion when the galaxy was finally ready to change. The end. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our next epic HFY adventure. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next story.